Hello, and welcome to day one with me, your naughty professor. Today we're going to be talking about functions. Before I start drawing beautiful pictures on the board, let's just talk about what a function is. All we mean when we say function is a machine that absorbs something and then spits something back out. You could think of this as Bugs Bunny when he's got that crazy machine with all the bells and pumps and whistles, and say every time a red block goes in, a green triangle comes out, and it shapes it into a triangle and paints it green and adds a feather to the top. So then Bugs Bunny goes in and they shape him into a triangle and paint him green and add a feather to the top. This is our most common version of a function. We think of it as an algorithm, as a set of instructions that we're going to be performing on, usually a number more often than Bugs Bunny. So we could say that f of x equals x plus 2. And all this function does is it takes something, x, Bugs Bunny, and it adds 2 to it. Whatever I put in, it adds 2. So, if I had f of 3, I would get 3 plus 2. Nothing surprising there. And that's just the point. A function is unsurprising. A function is boring. It's never going to jump out and startle you. A function's predictable. And that's the most important thing about functions. In fact, the definition of a function is when you put in the same thing, you get out the same thing. If you add something and then see what you get, you shouldn't be surprised. We say that for any inputs, there is exactly one output. And in our example, in this lovely f, here's our input, and here's the output. Put in 3, get out 5. And this is the simple basis for a function. This is the most important thing. One input means one output. If I were to draw a picture of a function, alright, it said they're boring, but let's not make them too boring. X plus 2 is about as dull as you're going to get. To spice this up, let's add a hint of another color, shall we? So here are axes. I've got my x-axis, that's my input, and I've got my y-axis, that's my output. And I can draw on here a pretty picture which is going to represent a function, and I'll explain how we know that. So let's say I've got a nice curve like this, and this could be a representative of a quartic function, which we'll get to eventually in the future, but right now it's just a picture. Right now it's just a relationship between x and y. Any value of x, say this one, has a value of y that goes with it, say that one. So I put in an x, I get out a y. This picture is the same idea that we had over here. We could think of it as a formula. We're not going to yet because that will be less fun. Mystery always adds a little bit of excitement to anything. So let's just leave it as a picture. The way we can tell it's a function, though, without seeing a formula, without knowing anything about the rules of functions, just taking this tiny little nugget of information, this, is by drawing a vertical line. And not just one vertical line, I mean every single vertical line that you can ever imagine drawing. They will all cross the curve, cross this lovely curve that we have here, exactly once. Not too excited. Like I said, they can get a little boring. Let's make something that's not a function to actually understand what's going on here. Let me see. I'm gonna need some space. And some axes. I'm going to keep my colors consistent. Let's see. Let's try a figure 8. Now these graphs aren't that different. You could say they have the same inspiration, but this graph, if I draw some vertical lines, I'm going to see 2 points of intersection. Now what that means for our formula is that means that there's just one x value, that one, on my x-axis, that has 2 different y values that go with it. And that's not fair. X can't have 2 different y values. Those y values are going to get jealous. X needs to be attached, devoted 100% to one y value. And that's what makes it predictable. If you give me an x, I can give you back a y. In this case, 1x, 2 y's, somebody's being a little naughty, and so this is not a function. We can talk next time about some different types of functions. We can draw some more inspiring photos. Don't tell anyone I have an art degree, it's my best kept secret. And we can learn a little bit more. So again, I am your naughty professor. This has been Office Hours. I'll be uploading one of these videos every week, along with anything else I think you might want to see. I'll probably stick to a pre-calc curriculum, but if there's anything else you want to request, I will do anything in my power to satisfy. Hope you've enjoyed.